I hate Nintendo, and let me tell you why. Hello, it's Kerbo. Thank you for tuning in today to listen to me rant. I just really want to say this because I've been hearing a lot of news recently, and it's beginning to bug me about Nintendo as a company. First of all, you have to give credit where credit is due. Nintendo is a legendary company. It truly is. Like, it has brought so many great childhood memories. It's so many people's childhood just encapsulated all into one. The fact that Nintendo goes back for generations upon generations of different kids and now adults, the impact that Nintendo has had on individuals is amazing. It really is. And because of that long generation of being a company that they have made some really great games. And even today, they make really great games. Beautiful games. Games that's very fun to play. But that's kind of where it starts and stops for me. Because it's very hard to love Nintendo. It's very hard to continue to support Nintendo when they continue to put themselves first. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird because they are a business. They have to put themselves first because if they don't, then they suffer as a business. We, as the customers and consumers, do not get their games anymore, and that's it. But what do I mean that they always put themselves first? Well, they are so worried about the IP of Nintendo and their characters that they just forget about the customers and the consumers that made them great to begin with. It's because of us, the diehard fans, that loves them so much that will put their IP on a pedestal. But it's so big now that it's hard to contain, and it's hard to contain their ego. So they do whatever they want to do, and we just kind of take it. Because let's be real, a lot of the consumers of Nintendo now are so passive that they just want to play games. And I can understand it because at the end of the day, you grew up with these characters. They're safe, they're colorful, they're bright, they're entertaining, and it's fun. Then why should I be worried about the rest? Well, eventually it's going to affect you personally. And I'll get more into that too. What are some of the things that Nintendo has done? Well, I like a little game called Smash Brothers. Primarily Smash Brothers Ultimate. Because growing up, I didn't have many Nintendo consoles besides the Game Boys, the Game Boy Advance, and the Nintendo DS, and so on and so forth. But I always enjoyed playing Smash Brothers at my friend's house, a cousin's house. But when I was able to get my hands on my own system, primarily Smash Brothers Ultimate, I loved the game. So I got really involved in the community of Smash Brothers. But then I noticed something. They would cancel their tournaments. Nintendo would force their hand to cancel certain tournaments. And not only that, certain modifications of the games, they were outright cancel them and try to put an end to them and even threaten lawsuits if it was to continue. Why does Nintendo hate that we glorify them as a brand so much? It's because of Nintendo that they're there to begin with. Your great brand, these characters that we love so much, we get together and celebrate them, even modding them in a respectful way to continue to play more of your games, but you hate it so much and you're so worried about your IP, you cancel it, and it counts as fun. But so what? That doesn't have to do much with the regular casual, right? It doesn't affect you. Well, does it? Because now they are doing little tweaks to a game called Mario Kart. Everybody loves the stages that are traditional. You go around and around the track. It's more engaging, it's more high energy. But in between those tracks, there are something what you call transitional stages. I'm not a big Mario Kart player, so I can't relate. So I'm sorry if I get some of the terms wrong, but they just make you play those stages now instead of doing the stages that we as players would like to play again. We would like to play. But Nintendo says no. You're going to play the game how we want you to play it because we are the company. We dictate the fun. We have had such a great track record. So now a lot of the more casual audience are beginning to buck back at Nintendo because of their ways and the way that they handle their IP and the way that they handle us as consumers. They're just so worried about their own IP, the way that they want to do things, that they just forget about us. And what else does Nintendo do? Well, let's just say we mentioned about IPs and the way that they are so desperate to just make sure they control everything. And again, rightfully so in some areas. But they take action against people like moderators, mods, and other gaming companies that has success with a similar IP that they have, namely Power World. And when we say similar, like really just pocket monsters, just catching a monster. If they didn't have a ball and they use a net for their monsters instead, I still think Nintendo would have tried to sue them because they just hate it so much, because they just worried about their own brand and not their customers, not people having fun. They hate fun, not unless it's making them money. But if it's not making them money and it's not the way that they want things to be done, then why have it around? And just the cherry on top, when they have updates in their games, a lot of the times their patch notes are just so vague. You don't really know what's going on. Like, what is it? If they make a small change here, they're not very specific in it. So it's borderline lying at times when they can just make a change on the back end of things. Let's just say if they said they made a change regarding those tracks that we spoke about earlier in Mario Kart. If they say, hey, we reversed some of those things. We made it where you can get your roundabout tracks over and over more often. But if they change it by 0.1%, well, they changed it, but who's really going to benefit from 0.001%? But they changed it, though. This is the kind of company that Nintendo is. They are always worried about their brand first instead of letting us have fun, letting us be, letting us have expression. They're just worried about themselves. But eventually, I feel like it's going to come to a head because although it affects niche communities at the moment the most, when it comes to them suing different people that make mods, when it comes to suing those who make games, and let's just be honest, the spirit of the games that they have once had, they're going to eventually step on the toes of individuals that truly love their IP. They are continuing to raise prices, and really in this economy, that's tough enough. They give lame excuses for raising those prices, and then they mess with the games, the most fun part of the games, after raising those prices. But the only way we will be able to get to Nintendo, get through their head, is if we speak with our wallet. And sad to say, although I feel like a change is coming, I don't know how much of a change will have to happen on Nintendo's end before the more casual audience, those mom and dads that just buy consoles for their children and for them to play a game every now and again, for them to notice, because that is where the money wells lie. Not in the casual not in the gamers or the close-knit communities. It is the greater audience that appeals to kids and those adults that have the money and really don't really care about spending that money because they just feel like it's just a game. But eventually it's going to affect them too, because Nintendo's hubris is just too big. Thanks for watching.